Okay, so today we're going to start with some ideas that we put together between what happened last year and what we think is going to happen in 2023 in terms of branding, communications, marketing, and some of what we've seen so far.
Yeah, amazing year for us and for what we've been doing. I think in terms of what we're looking for today, sharing these experiences and looking for more and learning from you guys also what can work and what has been doing beyond the AI drive that's going chat GPT that somebody of the meeting attendees know very well about. So
yes,
let's go.
So feel free to chat with us. In the meantime, we have Alexandra here helping us, and she'll pass on any questions you have, comments. Please, let's make it fun today. So what worked in 2022? We went through some of the strategies. I would say that we kept with what we know is added value, right? So we see that mostly thought leadership content worked. Brands that actually teach, research, provide value to their targets. That works. Especially in B2B, where we are always very much involved. We see that the companies that have been the most successful, Deloitte is a staple in this type of strategy in terms of publishing research, but the smaller companies too. When you create value for your audience, when you provide tools for their job, that works. That provides engagement. And we've seen actually many of the B2B companies also trying the quote unquote retail route. We haven't seen it work that much. It does work in terms of awareness, not that much in terms of conversions. What do I mean by that? I mean that when you're a B2B company, when you're selling to another company, you have to provide the value they're looking for to build their trust and get referrals. If you think about your purchasing process in B2B, that's what happens. You generally look for referrals. You look for other people that have tried the product before going out and buying it in the B2B aspect in the service business. So it's content that goes beyond selling products and services. So it's about building your brand and satisfying the curiosity of the users.
But it's definitely for the people that have just joined that we're talking about what has worked and what have we seen working. For instance, in thought leadership and generating that value or that recognition. People have been seeing the greenwashing and events that you want to have stand out. Perhaps one of the clients that we had, which just recently exited and sold one part of the stake of the company, and the green and they're trying to create better value for the environment. And what they're doing is actually saying what they can do, very brief, and what they're not doing, and how are they creating an impact for the world. And in our minds, if you are recognized as a thought leader in your area, that has really worked, and financial and wealth management firms that we've helped out, and B2B play, and coaches that we've helped this year. If they become a standard, if they become out there and they communicate, and remember, what you don't communicate is not known. So have a strong message. And what worked well was having this type of line of communication, very, very simple. And we have a discussion between Alejandra and I, as like, it should be need to be brief or not for me. And I know George, you're here. Brief and concrete is the way to go, at least in one of the businesses that we've been advising to.
Good. So another one of our favorites has been podcasting. I've been a podcaster since 2020, and I have a lot of fun with it. And I've been a user of podcasts, of course. I've been listening to podcasting, and it has gained a lot of validation lately. And it has actually, dollars have followed through with advertising dollars being poured into podcasting. And what we've seen works for our clients is that it's not only about hosting your podcast, which would be great, but also it has been a very efficient way for leaders to position themselves and be able to share their views and raise their profiles online. The strategy that we've seen that it works is that you network with podcasters, you offer yourself as an expert, and there is a win-win in terms of you promoting your participation in that podcast and the podcaster promoting you and you appearing in their network. So it's a flow that we've seen works very well. And in terms of the industry of podcasting itself, it has definitely exploded, right?
And it's definitely growing. And some people are one of the clients that have been a bit shy into getting into this field, but once they get the knack of it and they go forward, it's amazing level of confidence. And going to the previous point, being a thought leader, this is a very good channel, a very good way of getting your message across. What we've seen is people, their top podcasts that we Pivot, are we going to NPR? Are we going to different podcasts that out there, but they're also very specific. So if we go for the agri-tech, we have a client that's agri-tech, going to that field, get to know where your audience is and follow that through. And the podcasting is one of the spaces. It need not be in the Apple podcast. It could be YouTube. It could be even TikTok is happening to be a very good space to get that message into that realm. So going to the next slide.
So personalized and valuable email marketing. So email, I know it may sound tired, but the reality is that there is a huge opportunity that marketers have been taking advantage of in email, and that's in terms of data personalization. So the more personalized your campaign is, the better it's going to work, right? So the opportunity we've seen in email is actually the work on how to segment your database so that the emails that your target gets are much more useful to them, and they actually, hit it in terms of their needs and the content that they're looking for, and even the product, right? So the campaigns that we've seen that work are the hyper segmented campaigns within your database. And that, I think, is going to continue throughout 2023 in terms of using systems and using human intelligence to go through data and find what segments you can extract that have common data points that you can use to personalize your communication.
Yeah, it's one of the things that people say, okay, like you started off with, it's tiring. No, email is super efficient and we've seen it work for our clients. You need to have the right title, the right message. Yes, you can use AI to drive the main, copy of your message, but just be aware that others are doing so. So try to do personalized, try to make sure you connect with the right audience, like to say. And the emails need not be super long. They just you need to be recent, need to be there, recent and frequently. So that way this channel is still strong and it's one of the major ones in our industry to connect.
And actually, it is a great tool to build loyalty. That's one of the main things we've been working on with our clients. So what happens when somebody already purchased from you? Make sure that they hear from you often, that they go back to you, that they are actually going and that you're following up with things that are useful to them. That's building loyalty. And email is a great way to do that. Let's continue with the next one. Video marketing. I know that sounds It's already been forever in terms of video, and we know we're bombarded by video everywhere right now. The trend that we've seen is that video used to be a trend that was kept to the more informal ones, or the more informal brands, or the more informal thought leaders. What we've seen recently is that it's being taken more seriously by everybody, by CEOs, by every single brand, even B2B brand, is embracing this and giving it validation. As you know, as TikTok, you say, okay, TikTok is for, I don't know, Gen Z, or it's not for my brand. Well, little by little, what we saw in 2022 is that, yes, actually more traditional brands are jumping on TikTok or on video creation and putting their faces out there in a more human way, and it works.
And one of the things we've been challenging ourselves too in terms of Scaldo.
Yes.
Should we go into TikTok? Should we do this? And we're at the beginning, it's like, it's not our area, it's not our space, but it has become a place where short clips, stories, or the things that really connect and solve for in terms of branding, communications, and activations of what we need to do. It makes much more sense for us too. So we're also learning in the process, and that's what's coming up 23.
Yes. And user-generated content. What does this mean? It means engaging with your customer, right? And this, has been a trend in retail for some time, but it has, tipped over to B2B too. So people are engaging with brands more and more and being open to creating content for them. So that's a trend that is working very well, and that should be embraced for 2023 too.
And with this in mind, also, we've seen with the AI-driven generator that now what they're using is they're paying, or they're getting people to do the prompts so that the AI-driven content generator can generate different type of ideas. So it goes both ways. How do you input, and what you input that user generated, what it can create, and it has infinite power. And we're still seeing the tip of the iceberg in terms of what can be done, even though this has been part of the environment. I mean, user generated content into reviews, into how rankings and whatnot, that has been there. What next? What can be later used, or what have we seen is that this is built into the capacity to continue generating more content for the industry or the company we have.
Exactly. So reviews were the first version of generated content, right? Reviews are the prehistoric, the tip of the iceberg. But I think that speaks to the human nature of looking for referral when you're looking to buy, right? You are always influenced by your environment whenever you're engaging with your brand. There is no doubt about that. So the user-generated content is just the growth of the review trends. And the review trends is just, it responds to human nature. So that's what's most interesting to me, to continue to question how you engage with your audience, because this is just the continuation of what we need when we make a purchasing decision. That being said, it really talks exactly into the growth of influencer marketing. Who do you listen to whenever you're looking for products, services, advice, whatever it is, right? So if you're not getting it from your immediate circle, you get it from influencers. And we know influencers have been growing a lot, but they people are really trusting the recommendations that come from a person before trusting a brand. So that's key. And that's something that builds into both the thought leadership, the first point we're talking about, because you want to trust a person. And it takes much less effort to trust a person than to trust a brand in terms of investment, right?
And even with that, and most of our clients are in the B2B space. She would say, obviously, in cosmetics and personal care, you see all these influencers and going strong. But in our area, having influencers, having people that connect and say wealth management and say what we're saying in terms of fintechs, people that resonate in that area, that refer or that support your message has a way of scaling companies faster than we've seen before. So take into account that this is a great opportunity or a great aspect to introduce into your business also.
With that, let's see what we should not do in 2023. What are the losers? Spam, of course, speaks to what we just talked about. It's not only like there are a lot of laws coming out now. In Europe, it's already very, very strong in terms of the restrictions for spam, but really the conversion rates from massive email marketing keeps going down and down and down. So save your dollars, focus on something else that is not mass email marketing. That's my first recommendation for sure. Secondly, don't focus on only one platform. Go wide. Choose platforms where your clients are. And it's not only one. The lines between, your business life and your personal life are getting, thinner and thinner, more blurry by the day. So, you go from TikTok to Instagram to LinkedIn to Twitter to the news to podcasting. So I'm not saying go and target all of your platforms, go and target all of your strategies at once. Just try to divide your efforts into at least 2 or 3 platforms that you see are working. And that will go into one of my next points. Segment your audiences. If you don't segment them, you're not going to know what to focus on. So make sure that you know who you're speaking to and in which, where they are, where you will find them. So that way you'll know to focus on those 2 or 3 main platforms. And that's what I was talking about in performance. So segment and track performance. That way you'll be able to focus your efforts on your best performing platforms, on your best performing channels.
So we've seen people spamming that has blocked their accounts. We've seen people that even one of the companies that was coming from Latin America to the US, trying to figure out who the right audience is. It's not the same as targeting companies or your target client in, say, Colombia. If you're coming into the US, it's a different ballpark. So you need to figure out who are you talking to, what's the right message, how do you connect? And that has been one of the things that we've been helping a lot of companies from Peru, Brazil, Colombia coming into the US. And the biggest difference we do business is completely different in these environments. So how do you create that target? Then how do you connect? And that connection should be in more than one platform, what you were saying. So it would typically be LinkedIn, if you say, but then there are other aspects, there are other connections in real life. So we created for BlackRock the event and last month, something that was great, having all these financial advisors in place. So try to figure out how to connect, how to create that space. And then at the very end is you're investing a lot of money. So people are saying, how much is it right to invest here or is it not? and look at it as a rationale. If you invest in Google, or if you invest in this in real life event at the Palm Museum, what is that rationale? How that can escalate and take you towards your growth triggers or your growth objectives that you have, which has been great.
Yeah.
And in this environment, we've seen things great working. Where do we start? Actually, we start with our ScaleX program. We start in identifying what is the core value offering, why do they represent, what's the essence of the business, and then the opportunities of growth. Always look laterally and look things that can you go into going forward, coming into the US, and perhaps you in Colombia, you were targeting the IT person, how might you scale here? And that growth options, we do it. And then once you have that, understand your story. And that thought leadership that Ada was talking about at the beginning is like, what is your narrative? What is your unique story? And then go for the branding. What's your brand? What's your identity? What's your system? What's your website saying? Understand that as your story, make it clear. Again, and the experience is what you don't communicate, it's not known. So understand what are the friction points in terms of the customer journey that your customer goes through and connecting points. For instance, the wealth management firm that we helped is understanding that people don't know about this service. It's an amazing service that's happening, and they don't even know it. It's like, we have to get people to know this in order for them to enter the whole journey, right? And then understand what the marketing plan, what are the channels, what's the objectives now, then and later, and understand that everybody knows where is it going. So that's what we do in essence, and we love doing. We're passionate about it. Yes, people know us about more branding or more communications, but the idea of doing this as this flywheel approach, this approach that's comprehensive, is what makes us different. And we learned, and this year has been more than almost 40 clients doing this, and we're scaling this in South America and North America. And the idea is be mindful of what's your mindset, what's your story, and what's your experience.
Exactly. So, as Gary said, we've been doing this and testing this, and where can you start? That's why we said, where can you start? What for me is start by looking at yourself and what your mindset is, what your core value offering is, and then really plan out and sit down to see what your story is that you bring into the market and what the experience you're going to give your client is going to be. We are also launching workshops for this, which is a lot of fun. And we've seen how it really helps organizations gain a ton of clarity on how to use your brand, your story, and your communications plan, your marketing plan in order to fuel your growth. So that's what we've seen in 2022, and we think it's going to continue into 2023. It's all about how you tell your story. Traditionally, everybody says, "Oh, what's your elevator pitch?" Right? And nailing an elevator pitch is not that easy. You have to be very clear about what you bring to the table, right? So those are, a little contribution to you today, and we'd love to hear from you.
I have a question. So this is for you. How would you approach the market with specialty services? How would you use the to-dos you talked about?
Okay. So first of all, how would you approach the market with specialty services? Define your services in a way that they express the result for your target. Not what you do, not what your services are, but what your target is going to obtain as a result of your services. What are they going to come out with once you're done working with them? That's one first thing, because one thing that we've been working a lot with clients is about the quote unquote productization of services. Why? Because when we, Gabby and I too, when you're a consultant, a lot of the times it's like, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And it becomes this huge wheel of things that you start doing for a client. And it's an outsourced service, and it gets more blurry. When you put a productization, when you put a product approach to your service, it really helps you focus on results and what the client obtains from you. So that's one thing. The second thing is, okay, what is it that a client needs from you, right? What are their motivators, both rational and emotional? Emotional is a big drive for purchase, even in B2B. I know most people don't agree, but I do think that emotion plays a big role in everything. So the to-dos, I would say, to start with specialty services, which is what we do a lot.
Maybe go back to the flywheel. Maybe
yes,
is exactly what we
it's
do.
exactly this.
George, is what we do. It's just define your core value offering. And what Ali is saying is that, yeah, we are seeing a trend, and actually what we're doing is productize your offering. Define that. Where are the growth options? It's either partnering, horizontal, vertical integrations, whatever we're using, is try to figure out what your growth options are beyond that. And then get the narrative straight, get the story right. If you're targeting, say, I don't know, small, medium-sized companies in the financial world, and they're struggling with currently correction, recession, whatever, what is it that they can do? Even in the tourism, what they're doing after COVID, they're started growing, and now they're stalling. And in a way, what is it that they can do in terms of their story? Figure out your brand, if it's confusing, if it's straightforward, if it's easy to understand, if it's distinctive, something that is like you're working on currently is like a very complex portfolio of brands, and they're going into a third vertical of business, completely different from the verticals that they had other two. And how do you brand that? How do you not confuse your consumer, your customer? And then with that in mind, say, okay, where are the breakpoints? What is it that from where they don't know anything about me till they are super loyal in that spectrum? What is it? What's broken? What's happening?
That's a customer journey.
And
exactly.
That's a customer journey.
So if I give you, let's give you 5 to-dos. One is define your purpose, why you do this and how you do it. Define your market. That's number 2. Like, choose a niche as small as you can. Number 3 is choose 4 main topics that you're going to discuss and bring information into this world about. Number 3 is look at your whole client experience and say, okay, from where they don't know me until they're loyal to me, where in this whole transition am I the weakest? And 5, focus your marketing plan on that weakest point. That's basically it.
Yep, that's what we do. So in any event, I think we've covered. I don't know if there are any other questions, but we're super available. You can contact us on our website and create have a one-on-one session with us and with your direct problem and what you're trying to figure out at scale with the branding and communication side.
Exactly. And well, we just got another question. Considering you manage clients in different countries, do you approach these communications well differently? Is mindset more important for some or story for others?
Like a great consultant?
Yes.
And I answer, it depends.
No. It doesn't depend. Actually, let me tell the story about us. That helps. I'm sorry, I'm looking this way because I have Gabby next to me. When when we started working together, right? We met, Gabby and I met at a client's at Insignia, actually. It was the rebranding of a financial services company. And she was coming in from the branding, right? She has very extensive experience in branding, in rebranding. And I was coming in from the communication side, B2B, financial services, technology, etc. And we got to know each other, and we both found one common ground. And it was, Gabby's story was, well, they come to me asking for a logo, but I can never start just drawing a logo. I need to go back to the core, the business, core value offering, the business growth, the business plan. Where do they want to take the business? And I said, exactly what happens to me. They come to me to say, just promote my business, do email marketing, do social media. And I had to go back many times, redraw a business plan, at least in its basics form, or a business purpose. Why? Because I cannot just draw a communications plan out of nowhere, right? So in that sense, geography doesn't, it's not important. It's about the business and what is the business value proposition that brings to the market. So we always work on the mindset, and we always work on that value proposition in the space of a market before going into anything else. I cannot tell a story. I cannot where a company wants to go or where it comes from without that exercise in business strategy that we call mindset.
And Alejandro, and to your question, that's also, is it different in each country? Yeah, it is. It's different in countries that, or the messages or the structure is similar, but the messages where you stress what you do, it's different from pharma, from cement. It's different from US. And in essence, it's different, the target, and it could be more formal in one type of country in Latin America, and more informal here. But the idea is that you need to understand who you're talking to. So getting to know what your core value offering, getting to know who you're talking to, and then adapting the messages towards that. I've been here in the US for 5 years, and my story also is that fully adapting into a completely different environment, completely selling, completely different operating environment completely. So you need to adapt and you need to figure that out. But having the core of it, it's important. Having the essence of what you do is clarity towards the market and towards your inside, the talent that's working with you.
Yes, and George, you're right. Culture is key. Yes, it's always messaging goes along with culture. And I don't know if you talk about internal culture or market culture, but it's both. I completely agree. You have to be aligned.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And actually, we just finished with the try again, because it's another way of saying never give up, which is what we are all for. And thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Have a good day.